Okay,
Well,
I'm here.
yeah.
So, yes, welcome to the 111 Bridge Portal. We're creating a Melanie Kay. I'm here with my dearest sister, Suzanne Astar. This is the first time going live, all brand new. I feel like that's so indicative of the energies right now that I'm experiencing. It feels like a huge fresh start. There's a lot of like all the retrogrades closing out from 2022, and we're birthing in this 2023 with this massive wave of energy. Are you feeling that?
Well, I'm definitely feeling the fresh start energy. Things that I've been wanting to do for so long are just being completed. So many things are being tied up, loose ends that I didn't have momentum for.
Hmm.
And I guess Mercury in Western astrology, Mercury goes out of retrograde on the 18th
That's right.
of January. So there is some momentum already for the concluding of old projects, and
Mhm.
yet we're starting something new. So we might have a little bit of resistance and a little bit of lag to that newness,
Yeah.
and yet this is our practice. So I know your practice is what's your practice, girl?
Yeah, girl. Okay, so yeah, not only Mercury, Mars and Uranus are all they're all coming out of the last phase of their retrograde, all in that third week of January. So by the 19th of January, they're all moving in forward, and that means all the planets are moving forward. So we're really in that last stage of the wave, the ebb of the wave building. But yeah, I'm Melanie Kay. Um, My business is Star Body Earth. You can go check it out. I do courses, tours, and one-on-one services through tarot, and I do sidereal Vedic astrology. So that's my jam. And we've known each other for a really long time now. And we thought that it would be really fun to bring our tarot together. We've done these collaborations before, and do a Wheel of the Year tarot reading. Basically following the moon cycle. So it's a little bit of an interesting twist. Instead of doing the months, we're going to be doing the moons, the moon cycles. So that's what we're up to. But please share a little bit about you, Susie.
Yeah, it's so interesting how things line up. I've known you for a number of years, and it was only this year that I got on the 13 moon train.
Mm,
It's because of a project I started working on with a friend to start writing about Indigenous, or to interview Indigenous peoples about their relationship to the equinox and the solstice.
mm,
And my whole perspective changed around the importance of following and tracking and being in relationship to the moons. And we've been doing new and full moon pujas. I'm not leading it, but a woman who is deeply studied is leading them in the back of my home. So there's been this momentum for a few years now that just keeps accelerating around bringing us back to the importance of our connection to the moon and then beyond, right? Because Star Body Earth, your practice, your work is to bring the body in relationship to the stars and everything in between,
and the earth.
and the earth,
Like
grounded
that's
in
the
the
most
earth.
important. You're grounding your star wisdom and your star knowledge and your highest soul knowing down into the connection with the planet, which is like what I think we're all here to be doing, embodiment of our whole self and merging with the land.
That's
Mm,
right.
mm,
So I'm totally with you on that embodiment piece as a body worker and movement facilitator. And so interesting, the tarot, even though it is a symbolic language and a divinatory practice, which allows us to access parts of our unconscious and also give language to intuitive insight that we all have.
mm,
The unification of the embodiment and the intuitive practices, I feel like, is an amazing synergy, just like the synergy of you and I
mm.
working together. And the way we're going to be presenting this Wheel of the Year is to actually be reading together. So we each have our decks, our favorite decks, and we're going to be basically presenting to you a way of interacting and using your intuition to connect to what each new moon cycle, and we'll name them as we go.
Mhm.
So you can basically follow us through the whole year. So if you don't tune into this until months later, you can still hop on and like look at the past, or you can jump forward to the future. because as we know through our understanding of the quantum field, everything's happening now. So whenever you tune in is time. And I'm excited to jump forward and backward and sideways and synergize.
And I love that too. Like we just jumped on. I said, how many decks do you have with you? We're going to be pulling one card each for each moon cycle in this year, 2023. But I asked, I said, how many decks are you bringing out? And you're like, I have 3 decks with me. And I was like, because I've been working with multiple decks as I've been traveling. Oh, just to name that too. Where are you coming from? Where are you landed right now, Suzanne?
Right. So I'm in Fairfax, California, which is about 40 minutes from San Francisco, where
Yeah.
Melanie and I met, which is in the Bay Area.
And I'm completely on the other side of the world in Sri Lanka right now, because I've been doing grid work with the planet since 2018, pretty much traveling full time doing that work as I'm doing this other developmental work. So we realize when we're doing this 111 activation, it's like, oh, cool, I'll be in the 111 frequency already. And Suzanne is just kind of in the evening of the 110 date timeline, but we're totally making this bridge, and that's what we're doing with the tarot for each one of these moon cycles for 2023. It's like we're going to be pulling 2 cards. Suzanne's going to pull a card, I'm going to pull a card, and we're going to talk about how they bridge together. And so, yeah, that's the interactive play that we get to have with you guys on this call. Is might resonate with one, you might resonate with the other, and you might resonate with the synergy of the 2. So that's super exciting. And we have 7 decks. I have 4 decks. Susie has 3, and this is 2023. It adds up to 7. So that was just synchronistic. That was just a play.
Totally. And I think it's fun to note that it's the evening where I am in San Francisco. It's about 8 p.m. and it's around 9 a.m. where you are in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And so, it's interesting to play in the day and nighttime polarity as well.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting as you're tuning in to notice, where you are in relationship to time, where you are on this bridge with us. And one of the decks I'm working with, one of the decks that you actually let me hold for you when you left San Francisco area. And then I'm actually working with another deck that is not tarot, but that was gifted to me by Hien, a really close friend.
Oh, yeah.
Who asked me back to Australia. So we're doing incredible work that goes across the planet, and I can't wait to begin.
Great. Yeah, 13 hours apart, 13 moons. Let's get it going. Let's just go for it. I want to name too that we're already, if we track an Indigenous calendar, oftentimes we're tracking solstice to solstice, like solstice, and that might look different on the different hemispheres. But because we want to honor that tradition, we're actually going to start with the moon cycle that we're in, that we've already completed the full moon in, but that was December 23rd. So technically it's not in 2023, but it is kind of within this year, and we're going to go through 13 moons. So I'm working with a deck with the Orishas, a goddess deck, a miniature both tarot deck, and an elemental tarot deck. So if people are on the Facebook Live and want to throw out comments about which deck I should pull from for a different moon cycle, I'm open to that. Let's have a little bit of a play that way. I love it. So shall we begin?
Yeah.
Okay. So the new moon of December 23rd is the first cycle that we're going to be pulling a card for. Let's see what wants to come forward. Wow, it's already right here. Oh, this feels good. This is from the Orisha Tarot deck. This is the 7 of Earth card. And in this deck, this is all about the harvest. It's all about taking in all of the energies that you planted. And look at the beasts of burden are here. This ox, the goat, they're all here because you had this support outside of yourself to do all of this planting and growing and patiently waiting and putting the work in. And now it's harvest time. So this kind of feels really, it feels really accurate for what I'm experiencing on the planet. I've just been putting in so much work in 2022, and now things are starting to come to fruition, and I'm starting to reap the benefits of that. So that's a yummy card. We have Saturn energy and Taurian energy. Yeah.
I began, oh, this is so interesting. So I'm beginning with the Mother Peace deck, which uh, is a beautiful feminine matrilineal based deck. So we're going with the Seven of Cups first.
Oh.
And this is an interesting card because it reminds us of the power of our dreams. You know, in the honoring of the solstice, it's oftentimes that the new moon is a really, the last new moon of the year is a really important time to track and to take note of our dream time. The Seven of Cups is warns us that we can get stuck in fantasy if we um, follow that impulse to stay so so tethered to what we wish, as opposed to inviting the our imagination and the stories. So it's a good time to be connected to stories, to tell stories, and not to be fixated on anything in particular happening, but more noticing what's coming to you in the form of symbols, images. What are you dreaming about? And noticing where you're drawn, but not getting too attached to any one thing. It's a good time to let yourself be full and ripe with imagination. So if you see, she's pretty evenly distributing her attention across all of her dreams, and nothing is pulling her too strongly in one direction. She's at the center, and that's what the point is not to be swayed by your desires, but more to be aware and sitting in the center of them.
I love that interpretation of that card. And I'll just hold this up again because I think I said seven, but it's actually six. And that classic interpretation of that six of earth is a real balance in giving and receiving, you know. And so this whole thing about how he's really harvesting, but these beasts of burden have been supporting that. It's like, okay, can you be open to receiving, and can you also put the work in and give back um to your, and I love if we make the synergy piece with this dreaming card and this, you know, being aware of all your dreams, that it can really link these two by saying like, what kind of energy you're putting into those dreams, and how are you letting the universe support you, and how are you receiving the things and the cues that come in that kind of lead you down the pathway towards manifesting those dreams into reality.
I also really like that with this synergy, we have a little bit of the emphasis on the seven, right, and the six is the 13. So we're getting a numerological reminder of how we're
Mhm.
entering. So we're entering, acknowledging the 13 and the potency of the 13.
Yeah,
We're also looking at the relationship between these two numbers and how they feed each other. So six in Pentacles is all about balance and making sure you're being fair.
that's right.
Also fair in your distribution of energy, and we see how, you know, how you're not, it's really important to stay in your center, I think, in this time,
Yeah.
as we actually as we just finished this cycle.
Well, and like even the numerological thing where it's like, oh, the six to the seven, the 2022 to the 2023, right?
Yes.
It's like all that hard work and all that effort and all the retrogrades we were in. And now it's like dreaming and you know, letting the visions kind of have a play. Oh, I love that to kick off our 13 moon reading.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm going to put this back in the deck. It may resurface again, who
Oh,
knows.
interesting. I'm gonna put mine to the side just to be different. Ah, okay, January 21 is the next new moon. Let's figure out who wants to show themselves now. Oh, another Orisha card wants to come. Whoa, watch out. Here comes Obatala. This is Oshala, Obatala. This is like the God source. This is like, I mean, this is like really walking with your higher self. I guess the closest card in the tarot deck, the Orisha deck is a little bit different than a tarot. They're major arcana. There's more major arcana, and they're not quite syncretized. But this would be like a card of temperance, but even more godly. You know, like that card, it can be really perceived as angelic, but this is like you are being overlighted in your path, and you're really able to connect with your spiritual warrior self. So this is definitely like I think about spiritual warrior, and I know that term has been kind of used in the yoga community, or I guess no, that's spiritual gangster, but spiritual warrior, it's like I had this experience working with Aboriginal elder who studied with an Egyptian adept, and he spoke a lot about the warriors of Ma'at, which were the temple warriors in Egypt, and they were different than the military that was defense military for the state and for the country. The spiritual warriors, or the warriors of Ma'at, were protecting the cosmic law, the natural law of the of the cosmos, and they were not only protecting and supporting the village life, they were protecting and supporting the court systems and the rulers, that they were making sure everybody was operating in that truth and that light. And I feel like this card really represents that. It's like really feeling that place of balance and peace and harmony within yourself, and feeling that connection to source and your source self. What a way to kick off
I
January.
also, I just want to say one more thing. We also numerologically have just moved from a 6 to a 7. So just that previous poll, I was like, oh wait, we 2022 is a 6 year, and then we just moved into a 7 year. Anyway,
Yeah.
that was there. Okay. Oh, here's our 6 again. So the cards love to play.
Oh, they do.
Okay, so we've got the 6 of Cups. Um,
Oh.
so interesting, from that very grand and mighty balance between the world of um, the mundane world to the high court. The 6 of Cups is, the energy is a little bit different. So if you're drawn to this card, what you're going to be focusing on in that next new moon, should we name the date of the next new moon so that people can
It's
be tracking?
January 21st is what we're reading for right now.
January 21st. So this beginning January 21st, the 6 of Cups is starting to say to you to focus on the inner child. And the inner child is a popular term in pop psychology, but the reason it exists is because all of us, in that quantum model, are constantly living through the perspective of the innocence that we have. And it doesn't mean that we get stuck um, reliving the experiences of the past. That inner child is continuing to evolve. So what you want to look at during this time is your relationship to your emotions and your innocence.
Mm,
And if you get, sometimes what can happen in this time is old hurts, old wounds can emerge, and there's a great opportunity to do some healing with them. Great time to go inside and ask yourself, how am I doing right now? How can I serve my most vulnerable parts? And also, how can I have fun and play and optimize? Because you don't have to just go into the shadow part of it. Even if it might arise, you can also heal and support that inner child, that deep nurturing, through enjoyment, to doing the things that actually make you feel light and easy.
mm,
Friends that are easy to be around,
mm.
experiences that bring you back to the joy of life.
I love that so much. And I do like, even that card to me also represents that link from the past into the future. Like there's something about that. And like you had mentioned, the duality of like the mundane and the high court, and how this card is holding a wholeness there. And I think like when I look at the synergy of these two cards, and how true is it too that like our source self is our inner innocence and child like self. That's where our most divine impulses come from, right? And we have the wisdom of the life experience surrounding that helps us make choices for our highest growth and learning. But in our core soul source self, like we know the divine law, we know that real innocent truth of love. And so the play with these two cards really feels like that for me. It's like, how do you stay with your inner child? How do you stay with that divine love and curiosity and open mindedness and um, yeah, the sweetness.
I want to just add one thing. The woman that
Sure.
helps facilitate the pujas was talking about that she's done so much trauma work that she no longer gets in her own way. And I think there's something too about doing the inner work. So actually, what you talked about, those impulses are able to come through. And great way to say those really high elevated states of great wisdom that's connected to that card that you're talking about
Mhm.
do come from that original source point inside. So I really
Mm.
appreciate how you sum that up now.
Yeah, and this is again, we were talking about a little bit earlier how the planets were just ending their retrogrades in January. So by the January 21st, all planets will be direct. And so here we have this blessing of this childlike self and the source self coming through in January. So
As within, so without.
so without, let's go. Okay, February 20th. Oh, and just to name it too, depending on where you are on the planet, the new moons might be on a date before or after these dates. Is all UTC time that I looked up. So February 20th is the next moon cycle. So we're going into February now. Let's find a card.
You find a card. You've got Julia Stouter saying hi to
Oh
you.
my God. Hi, Julia. She's an old school friend. Old
You got
school.
John Mullen saying hi to
Oh
you.
my gosh. Are you kidding me? Guess who comes through with that? I love it. Talk about Julia Stouter. We have such a sweet relationship. I'm pulling from the tiny little Thoth deck, the pocket Thoth
Mm,
deck that was given to me by one of my Aboriginal tarot reader friends. The Fool. Can't even be more 0 point than that. Let's go. We just talked about source self, and this is going to keep riding in February. Like, let's stay with it. Let's stay with the innocence and the totality, the wholeness. And, the Fool card is the one that travels the entire tarot deck. He's that one that goes through all the life lessons and all the paces of what it takes to ascend in this earth walk. And so super important character. A lot of people misread this card like he's a foolish being, but he's actually just in that pureness of presence and
mm,
wholeness.
mm.
Wow.
Okay. I
The
had
dove,
to.
the dove is coming through again. The dove was in Obatala. I'll pull it out again.
Huh.
Look at the doves coming through in Obatala. Here, here. Now coming through in the Fool card here.
We are in the year of the seven, right? Which is the chariot in
Hmm.
the major arcana, which
Mm,
is really connected to traversing the unconscious to more consciousness. So you're traversing a place of elevating your own consciousness, your own awareness, your own frequency through your actions. Those are important. But I just had to pull from this. It's like a self-healing deck. I just felt like this year is going to be so ripe for self-healing. And the card that I pulled is connect with the earth. And that's
ah,
what the Fool does is he literally moves across the earth. So I would say that this is a great time to put your feet on the ground. Hopefully it's not too wet. We're getting a lot of rain in California right now, but putting your feet on the ground and going someplace that
mm,
um, feels like you can connect more deeply to her. So a beautiful place in nature, or your favorite spot, a hot spring, some place that allows you to feel just more like you, but less connected to the story you have about yourself. And that's what I think about the Fool is you're not so connected to your story. You have to actually release your story to
mm.
get anywhere close to the Fool. Because in order for the Fool to work its magic, you have to be able to go in with fresh eyes. You have to find fresh eyes, and no easier way to do it than getting out into nature, opening your eyes. My daughter was a little upset on my walk with her in nature, but she was upset because she was just a little tired. But every time she'd hear the sound of the babbling brook, she'd look up at the trees. It calmed her down. This is a great time to reset your nervous system. Get some,
Mm.
go outside.
I love that. Yeah. So beautiful synergy with that. How funny you're talking about feet on the ground and the Fool's like feet off the ground. A little bit of duality there, but holding that wholeness, right? And what better way in the synergy of these two cards to find that wholeness is to do what we were talking about. Stay in your embodiment, be with the land, be one with the being that created our physical bodies. Our souls came in to our mother's womb, and all the matter that became us was from the earth. We are the earth. We really are. And so to be in that wholeness and that 0 point, and that, yeah, we have to understand that we're inextricably connected to the planet. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's a good point to note that the Fool is usually stepping off the edge of a cliff. Yeah. He's floating in the air, but that floating in the air is, I think, a metaphor for what it means to take a leap of faith. You don't know where you're going to land.
That's right.
But maybe this is reassuring that if you do take a risk, you will be caught because the earth
Yes.
is going to be there to catch you.
Yes. I love that. Perfect. Okay. That was for February 20th new moon cycle. So that we're doing the readings for the moon cycles of 2023 here. Our next moon cycle begins March 21st, which is very close to the equinox, if not right on the equinox. We're going to have an equinox new moon March 21st. Let's find out who wants to come and play for that. Ooh, a little goddess card. Can you even right now with Gaia? The
Mhm.
world 21. That's the apex of the major arcana right there. Some decks do offer a 22, but most decks offer that scale of the 21. The 21 is 7 times 3, right? So we're talking about the 7. Also want to talk about the 7 of this year 2023 being the center point of the 13 harmonic. So there's a real centering, and we're
Mhm.
already seeing that come up in the reading and the cards. But yeah, wow. Talk about wholeness and totality. Connecting with the earth. Here she shows up in March for the equinox, balance, wholeness.
Ooh,
Wowzas.
and I think you're going to really enjoy this one.
Okay, let's see it. Whoa.
Another piece. Here we go. Okay, so we're getting gently smacked against the cheek with the mother right now. Mother
Okay,
Earth is going, come on, get close. This is a really important time to ground, stay put. It can show up as tiredness. Oh, I'm so exhausted. But if you notice, I love this version of the card because it traditionally you'll see like a knight in the very old, like kind of Renaissance tarot. A knight's laying down, he's got 4 swords pinning him in place. There can be that sense of like you have to be where you are and deal with what you're feeling. And it's a
mm,
really good time to rest. But with this one, she's lining up her energy. So it's
mm,
optimizing the time of being where you are, wherever you are inside of yourself. It's swords. So you do have to use your mind a little bit to do it. You might
quiet your
feel
mind.
a little restless.
Yeah.
You might even resist the desire to rest. But the 4 of Swords is pulling you in. And if you follow the energy, you might find more attunement and alignment, even through the resistance. But resistance
Mm,
isn't really a bad thing. You don't get stronger if you don't work with resistance. So this is an opportunity to work with some resistance
mhm.
inside. And it's just a great way to alchemize some stuck energy, really use those feelings and emotions that you might be feeling about it. Use your mind to line yourself up and tune into the entire being through your mind and
Gosh.
not overthinking it.
Yeah.
Meditation is really called for in this card.
Absolutely. I love this interpretation of the card. I'm not so familiar with the Mother Peace deck. I know of it, but I haven't studied it. And I love this. I always think of the 4 of Swords as that place of surrender to the deep rest, quiet the mind, really let the thoughts go. But this card is so reminding me of the Mount Shasta pyramid.
I know.
A couple of my teachers in Mount Shasta, they were guided to construct this pyramid right out the back of the mountain and they're on their property, and it's dedicated to Isis. But when you go in that pyramid, and it's like you can fit 20 people in there, you have to walk down to walk up in. That is what happens when you're in there. It's the most still, quiet, sacred place I think I've been on the planet, to be honest. It's so divine. So wow, that card is just everything for what we're talking about, the balance of balancing the mind, lining up the chakras, being in connection to the planet, right on the equinox new moon cycle. Let's go.
Melanie, when are you going to Egypt?
Oh yeah, so we're actually kicking off the Egypt trip. So the Egypt trip is February 2nd. We're going to be in that Obatala, that that whole cycle, the remembering the past, present, future. We're going to be in that cycle for that, and we're actually kicking off the Tolkien, the Mayan calendar, Tolkien 260 day, the dragon wave spell. We're going to be walking through Egypt. Yeah, go check it out. Star Body Earth on my website. Look at this Earth activation tours. We have a few spots left.
I was just reminded of, the trip to Egypt, and when you had that picture of the earth, and then we have this pyramid right on top of it. It's a reminder that there are sacred places on the planet that you can also go to. So it's a good time to also consider the space that you're in,
Yes.
because there are places that can hold you better
Yeah.
if you need support.
Yeah.
Like Melanie's
Amazing.
tour. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, like my tour. Like we're gonna actually be in the Great King's Chamber. That's what Mount Shasta Pyramid is designed after, is the Great Pyramid, because they knew it was a centering and focusing of the energies. That the whole structure is so activating and so profound. So yeah, that's the thing. So let's go. We got coming after that, spring, spring for the Northern Hemisphere, fall for the Southern Hemisphere. April 20th kicks off the next new moon. What do we got? Let's see. Okay, I'm feeling called to the elemental cards. These are fun. Okay. Wow. We have the Two of Earth, or the Two of Pentacles. This one is in the elemental deck, is called, they have a word that's connected to each one of the elements on the top. It's connected to plant. I think it's super interesting. Take a look at this card and how much duality is being held here, right? With the Two of Earth, you're balancing your energies, balancing the scales, the balance of the guy running on the top and the upside down figure on the bottom. It's got a lot going on, but he has a little letter in his hand, like there's a message here. So the game in April's moon cycle, April into May, is about holding the balance, planting your seeds.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Coming in the spring, the goddess that's associated with that is Renpet, Sumerian goddess of youth and spring.
So that's the Two of Pentacles?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. So let's go. I'm going to go back to this tarot deck. Oh, the Empress.
Oh, yeah.
The Empress. Okay, which is okay. Great. The Empress is the architect. So after you, in this, what we're doing with this particular, the intention behind this is to, just take whatever works for you, leave the rest, hop in wherever it works for you. But if you're hopping in or you're following our progression, you've noticed that basically we've gone through the inner child, we've gone toward the source point, we go to the earth, we project the energy out. And once we go and find that alignment between heaven and earth, you can be given a divine blueprint through the Empress.
Yes.
Empress, source point of creation. She holds the architecture of how to create what you desire in your life. But you don't do it through action necessarily. You take care of your body, you could dream journal, you can feel the feeling of what it feels like inside, but it's all about receiving. And it's a very important time to be grateful. The progression of accepting what you have, being grateful for what's working, and then allowing what's even better to come to you. The Empress is assuring you that even though again, there can be that feeling that that 7 of this year is going to make you maybe feel like you're driving for your dreams. You want to get there faster. The Empress is going to try and pull you and slow you down and pull you back into your body and go towards your feelings, even if they're difficult feelings, to get towards what you really want, feel it and savor. Eat well, dress well, connect into the sensual body, and you will create the architecture of what you want to receive in the months to come.
Oh, I love that interpretation of the Empress card. I wanted to give a shout out to Prem Rupa, who's on, and John from SF, from the Crystal Way. I love those guys. And thanks everybody for being on and taking a look for this reading for us. bridging these two cards is super interesting because as you see here, they give a little planetary influence on these cards. So what do we have? We have Venus. Couldn't be more Empress like to have Venus showing up here,
Nice.
and Uranus, which is like that's the pathway to freedom. So I love what you said about just grounding into your body, slowing down, getting really connected inside yourself, because that's how you're going to maintain your balance. That's how you're going to honor the seeds that you've planted. And that's where you're going to find your liberation energies. So
I
that's what's
love what
up
I love
for
about
April.
the two of pentacles too is like sometimes the twos bring us into like a feeling that we have to choose one way or the other way, and the two of pentacles invite also to me invites you to hold both. So
Hmm.
there's this feeling like you have to make a choice. The two often is like, well, you can two of pentacles, you can play with
Hmm.
those
Yeah.
desires that you may have, and feed yourself
Yeah.
rich in this time and indulge in enjoying what you desire.
Yeah. I love that. And this one, a lot of times this is represented as a tightrope walker, and very
Mhm.
circusy, very performer-esque, juggler, all of that. So you have a little bit of that, but I love how he's so in motion. Like there's the stillness of the goddess of the earth here, but there's also a lot of motion. There's balance in that. And there's messages coming through that. So really fun reading for April. April 20th, new moon. Okay, we're going into May 19th. Let's see what we got here. Does anyone want to tell me which deck I should pull from? I got the goddesses, I got the Orishas, I got the Thoth.
I
Let's
want
see if
more thought,
anybody's.
baby.
What's that?
I want more thought.
Okay, let's find one of those guys. So we're pulling for May 19th, new moon cycle. Wow. Okay. Can't even stop with these major arcana right now. Like, look at this go. This is the Magi, the Magos, Maga, the magician. What's
Nice.
so interesting in studying Vedic astrology is that one of the nakshatras are the lunar mansions. There's 27 in the elliptical, and they track those. It's a more refined way to kind of look at the stars' influences on us. But there is a nakshatra, um, it's not Maga. Why can't I think of that right now? But it's connected. It's connected to the magician. It's really tapped in and tuned in, and it's in Leo. It's definitely got this big firepower energy. And so, anyways, this is the one. This is the one who has all the tools, all the elements at his fingertips, and he can just wave his magic wand and start manifesting things into the reality, holding the balance, holding that kundalini line strong, right? As we were lining up those chakras in the pyramid just a couple months ago, this guy's actually putting it to use. Like we were in the stillness back then. This guy's like, oh, well, I'm all lined up. I got all the elements at my fingertips. Let's go. Let's play. Planted seeds last month. Honored the goddess last month. Let's actually bring some energy down. Yeah.
And I feel, that magician Paul feels so right on to me. And um, I was really noticing the joy you have in the way you interact with the cards. It's just like the magician has achieved such mastery through, the I think joy is an incredible way to work with the elements, and that's what the magician really has is the total enjoyment of working in your craft. Um,
Mm,
Seeing you in your magician, and I got the Four of Cups. What an
wow.
interesting counterpoint. So just before we get too excited, the Four of Cups comes in.
Yeah.
Whoosh. Four
Yeah.
of Cups is a really interesting card because it reminds us that sometimes when we're really desiring something, there can be this feeling that, you're not quite there yet. The four can have a feeling of the Four of Cups because we're working with the water and the emotions. And four is a very stable number. And when you
Yes.
put four and water together, it can almost feel like a feeling of stagnation. And
Mm,
so it could be a really good time to work with your connection to, it's going to sound kind of funny, but your ancestors, to
Mm.
actually go back in time a little bit, pay homage to your ancestors. And this is a specific practice that's connected to certain traditions that understood that when you go back and you make gratitudes for the ones that have come before you, you can ask for wisdom in order to help remove blocks that may be coming up in your way. And it's not like there are real blocks there ever. You can see he's crossing the river
Mm.
and he is in the action of getting to where he desires to be, but there can this feeling of, oh, I'm stuck. I'm not actually getting where I need to be, even though he's in the middle of something that's moving.
Mm.
So it's a great time, I feel like, to connect and give gratitude to what's come before you. You could have an ancestor altar
Mm.
or a way of giving gratitude to what's come before you. Teachers, giving gratitude to teachers,
Mm.
connecting to, uh, going back to some of your books or different ways that you connect to sources of wisdom and get re-inspired in this time.
Mm.
Don't get bogged down by any feelings that you're not making any progress. The magician, I think, is reassuring you that there is mastery happening behind the scenes. If
Mhm.
you're willing to, take what you have and continue to work on your craft. I'd say this
Yes.
is a good time to focus on your work, even if the feeling maybe like, I don't know if I'm getting anywhere.
You know, and I'm so aware like that the centering that's happening in the two cards together. And I'm curious because what it looks like from here is that he's in an where like the river meets the ocean. He's in like a river, but it looks like where the river meets the ocean, like it's an outlet.
Okay,
Like there's
that's right.
energy coming out and pouring into the source. And I just see him like doing this like almost like qigong dance with these four cups. Like there's so much balance in that. And I love what you're bringing in about the ancestors, but it is like this, it's like this dance of qigong. It's like very contemplative, slow, or maybe not even contemplative, but just allowing for the balance of the inner waters to be, so that this, and if we're doing the synergy piece, whoops, that this one is like really bringing it all down, and this one's staying in that zen place to allow for that to come through.
Where the It's such an important thing you bring up. It's one of the most potent places to honor the water element is where the river meets the ocean.
Mhm.
Like, because you can have such a big impact on the waters of the planet by being in that passageway.
Mhm.
And I think about the ancestors as being like the vast ocean, everything that's come before,
Yeah.
and us being aware of our contribution to that entire wealth of knowledge.
Mm. Incredible. Wowzas. So that was the moon cycle of May 19th, right? We're still in May, May 19th until June 17th. So now we're coming up and just going to give a recap for people who just jumped on. We are doing a tarot wheel of the year tarot reading for 2023, and we're going through the moon cycles. So we're coming up on the next moon cycle, which is June 18th. It kicks off. It's going to hold the June solstice within it. So let's see. I love that magician, and the Four of Cups comes up right before the solstice time. I always like to say June solstice because, whoa, sorry, I already pulled the card for it. Let's just roll it out. But I was just gonna say June solstice. So this is again the Empress card. Empress card comes up again. The mother wants to be honored,
Oh,
babe. But she comes in this form of is a goddess card, as San Atlehi. Not quite sure what that tradition is. I'm gonna guess it's Aztec. I could be wrong. But it's this beautiful goddess of fertility. And I love that she's in this blooming desert. You know, she's got the fertility even in the desert, right? It's just a reminder that like there's so much life everywhere. It, even if it's being perceived as something that's barren or not life-giving, it's like there is life going on everywhere. The whole earth is a fertile place. And can we see that? Can we witness that? Can we witness that in our own selves? Can we see that even the places that we feel that are dead inside of us or barren inside of us, can we feel the blooming that can be happening? Can we nourish those spaces and see how there can be beauty and so much life there? So that's my interpretation of that.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
You
What do you got?
ready?
I'm ready. Let's go. What? The death rose.
What a potent moment. And we talk about the importance of that June solstice. Melanie and I were talking about there in the Northern Hemisphere, there are many indigenous traditions that honor the summer solstice as the beginning of the year. And here we've got birth and death.
Yeah.
And the Sundance traditions, you actually make a big sacrifice in order to be given a vision of how to set your whole year from this point. And we're being shown the beginning and the end in that action of making a sacrifice, making an offering, being willing to really let go of something here in order to let something new in. I mean, this is a big month here. So, I mean, let's hold on to our hats for June. This is a great time to be ready to release,
Yeah.
ready to release in order to allow something new to come forward.
I just love that so much, right? The fertility that's in that process, right? Like if we were merging them, like when we do allow the things that need to go, like here it's just a transformation. It's just a transformation. It's just fertile ground for something new to come through. Wow. Potent.
This is a really interesting, I'm just getting a memory here, which is interesting. I recently had, I have a 9-month-old child, but right before I conceived her, I actually lost a cat, right? Like 2 weeks before I conceived her, in this particular time frame. So it's a
Oh,
very interesting reminder, again, this reminder of past and future overflowing. And I mean, I would have never wanted to lose that cat, but man, did I get given a gift of my
yeah.
child.
Mm,
So it's that reminder of that when we let go of something, something new does arrive.
mm. Yes.
I feel like this could also be an interesting global, I really feel a big global moment with this one.
Well, that's what we're here. We're doing this for the collective
Yeah.
energies of 2023. So moving into the next moon cycle after June solstice, that moon cycle starts July 17th. So July 17th, new moon. Oh, I'm feeling called back to the Orisha cards. Let's see who wants to come play. That June 17th. Ooh, uh-oh. Something's calling. It's like these two. Okay, I might have to give it up to the people watching on site. You're gonna choose the right card or the left card because I had a hard time deciding. So let's see. Somebody throw in the chat. Tell me which card to pull. The right.
God,
Let's see,
really.
maybe right or left isn't the way to do it. Up card or down card. Who's on there? Want to tell me? Okay, Julia says the right. So I'm guessing this is the right on your side. So let's pull for it. Bam, sister. If we haven't been talking about holding the center between past, present, and future, and what's living in that moment, this is the card of karma. This would also be known as the card of judgment, that card like that comes right before that wholeness piece. It's like keeping your eyes, the ancestors, right? Keeping your eyes on your younger self, your past lives. Like this is you're holding the center within that eternal self and letting it all be right and all be true and letting yourself really understand what it is with all that knowing and with all that self-witnessing. How is it that my soul is elevating and growing into its highest evolution? So that's what I have for the new moon of July 17th.
And is that judgment or is that different than judgment?
The Orisha deck has the major arcana that's different. It's not quite syncretized,
Right.
but
Orisha.
but this card, karma card, is probably the closest to the judgment card where we really allow all the things to kind of burn away. It's another layer of that and rising into our eternal self, recognizing our eternal self. Mm.
It's going to be a big summer.
It's gonna be a big year, I'm telling you. Let's see what your card comes up for.
All right. So we've got the Daughter of Swords.
Mm.
Um, interesting. What's interesting to me about this card is it usually comes up when you have been fighting for something. Uh, you are trying to make something happen and you're using all your energy and all your effort. It feels like work, but you feel good about it and you have energy behind what you're doing. And so activism is right behind the Daughter of Swords, standing
Mm.
up for a cause, standing up for what
Mm.
you believe in, speaking out, especially
Mm.
using your voice, saying, but it can have that energy that I'm putting behind it, like a little like, you want to make sure that your voice is heard. You want to make sure that other people's voices are heard that aren't being heard. So I think it's going to be an interesting time in the world stage and around helping people's voices that haven't been heard to be heard, standing up for people. I'm always reminded that it's so important to be of service. Once we have a good place of centering, fortunately, we have the spring to really give us that rest and time to focus on the blueprint. So by
Mhm.
the time we hit this summer, which is kind of going to be hot and big, I feel like that's when you want to really be like able to, from a centered place, speak up, use your
Mm.
voice. Writing's good too, but really emphasizing, articulating saying what needs to be said.
Mm. I love that too, and I love your interpretation of the princess of or the daughter of swords. There's something too about like I always think about these court cards as they're on their way to mastery. They haven't quite mastered yet, but they're in this active process of mastery of either the feminine or masculine principle of an element. And if we're talking about the swords as being the mind and this feminine way of working with the mind, and she's working on mastery, and we're taking this card of karma here, which is looking at all the ancestors, what we've inherited, our past lives. It's like, what thoughts is she going to receive? And what thoughts is she going to cut away?
Really nice.
What is she going to stand for anymore? And what's like no longer? It feels like that is the synergy piece of this month or this moon cycle, is like
Mhm.
really being in a discernment place around what you're gonna let in anymore and what you're done with, and making that clear. Mm.
Really, yeah, I really feel like that's going to be an interest. Yeah, very, very important to cut away thoughts that aren't needed.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right, sister, we're moving into August now, August 16th in our Wheel of the Year tarot reading. So we're pulling a card each. We have 7 decks we're playing with, and we are doing a synergy of those two. Where do I want to pull from next? I'm telling you, it's time again for an elemental card. August 16th? Yep, here we go. Whoa, interesting. Here's another elemental card. It gives a spin on the 10 of earth. Oftentimes the 10 of earth is interpreted as like this great big wealth of family and your stability and your community around you. And this card is interpreting it as the desert. And I think that's super interesting. This one character upside down has a mask on. He's letting all of his seeds just kind of fall into the earth and be planted. The other one's holding the
Hmm.
plant that's growing blindfolded.
Hmm.
Very interesting interpretation. This again has Venusian energies mixed with Saturnian energies. So there's something in this interpretation of the 10 of earth, which is about recognizing almost something that's oppressing your capacity to grow, right? Your capacity to be embodied, your capacity to actually nourish and nurture the things that are around you. And to be honest, the readings that's coming through right now for the year, it's just been kind of explosive and really, yeah, there's been some death and rebirth energies, which it's been so positive. So it's interesting here. We have a little duality of the typical translation of this card as being really positive and abundant. And then here we actually have this something almost oppressing or suffocating the feminine and the embodiment.
So this is 10 of Pentacles.
10 of Pentacles, yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, here we're back. So this card wants to come back again.
Yeah, it wants to come back. Look at that.
Yeah.
Four
And it's
swords.
interesting. Four Swords. Now, I was talking about this card, and it really obviously wants to play a part in the way we talk about this year. I pulled it reversed.
Mhm.
So there's, it's important to note that, if you haven't taken a good rest, you might be really forced to, like, you got to stop, you got to calm it down.
Mhm.
And the Four of Pentacles also, um, could all, and this is interesting about the tarot, is if you haven't taken action, it might be trying to push you to do something different.
Mhm.
So, but this what the stronger energy, especially if we start synergizing your reading and what this is, you talked about something being in the way of, um of the earth being able to, say it again.
Yeah, it's the Saturnian energy combined with the Venusian energy. So it's like there's something that is oppressing the embodiment or the growth. It's like there's some limitation on it. And in this case, it'd be like there's not enough water for the growth that wants to happen. And I think you're talking about this deep rest and this forced rest almost, or this forced kind of way of like, something like we've been growing and emerging and manifesting in this year already. And this sounds like August, moon cycle of August 16th is going to really say, okay,
Slow
hold
down.
on, slow
Yeah.
down. We're actually
Yeah.
going to put some stops in place for some
Yeah.
more inner growth to happen before we do any more exploding here. Seems so appropriate.
Yeah, because you don't, we're all, as we're going to start to, after this moon cycle, we're going to start to turn the corner into the fall. And it's really important to also start to slow it down. This
Yeah.
is, this is kind of normal, but we're getting a little sign with this new moon that, as opposed to it happening on the next new moon, which is when you start seeing the harvest energy pulling you a little bit, starting to slow you down a little bit, it's already starting to happen. So we
Yeah.
might see something that actually pulls us into to slow down a little bit more than, we were expecting to.
Yeah. Well, and in the southern hemisphere, it's like the end of summer. This is when a lot of bushfires happen in the outback and in Australia. And, there's a lot of just like almost preparation for the rain to come. So it hasn't come quite yet, but like it's their spring going in the southern hemisphere. So it really works both ways. It's that in-between place. Mm,
Mm-hmm.
love that. Okay, sister, we are going into September 14th. We're hitting another equinox. We're hitting another balance point. If you look at the wheel of the year, so September 14th, new moon cycle, kicking off once a goddess card, and we are going straight here. Hoo. We have Kuan Yin representing the 12, also known as the Hanged Man in the classical tarot description, but we're bringing in the goddess deck, Kuan Yin, and she is saying, no, we're not upside down. We are giving away a sacrifice. So what is it that you need to let go of? She has a baby in her arms. It's actually like it's a really interesting kind of thing to think about, like what is this baby in her hands, and it's like she's moving forward, she's going to give it away, she's giving something really important away in her life, and we don't even know what's on the other side of that. But this is just indicating that, after this kind of what did we say? August 16th new moon cycle was all about some kind of oppressive energies and some kind of forced rest. It's like, okay, it's begging the question, what do you need to give away? It might be so near and dear to you, but it's being asked for. And Kuan Yin's there with the divine grace to support it.
Right, because she does it for the benefit of all beings. It's one of those things where once you're in a space where you start to really trust the universe, when Kuan Yin comes into your life, you know that it's actually for the benefit of all.
Yeah.
It's not a punishment.
No, look at it, it's a beauty. Oh my God.
Put them right next to each other. What an incredible pair.
What an incredible pair. Look at
So
that.
there's quite a shift here. So we had this time of withdrawing, desert, fasting, praying,
Yes.
where you're really like doing your work to withdraw from the world a little bit. The Hermit is going to pull you a little deeper inside to know a truth that only you can claim. My
Mm,
favorite part about the Hermit is it's a time when you are able to enter a greater source of wisdom by going where no one has shown you before.
mhm,
So it's an amazing card for discernment. It's you can lean into maybe things you've learned from the past, but it is uncharted territory.
mm,
And he carries a light with him because he's old enough, he's been around enough, you've been here long enough, we've been going through the year long enough, you have enough of a high frequency, you have enough to be able to go into a territory that might even be a little bit scary.
mm.
And I think that's what Kuan Yin is also talking about. This is a definitely an unknown moment.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of heaviness here in the energy, but gosh, do you get more wisdom on the other side.
Well, and I love that you said to like fasting, like there's something about like what is this sacrifice really talking about? And you're talking about the hermit. So the synergy of being hermit's about self-mastery. Hermit's about letting go of all material possessions. You don't need any of that stuff. You just need your earth walk, right? And like maybe that's
Mhm.
linked with this sacrifice. It's like, what can you do in this month of this equinox month, right? This is September we're talking about in the 2023 Wheel of the Year tarot reading. What are you letting go of? What can you let go of that will bring more beauty and grace into your life and let you come into your self mastery that the Hermit's showing and let you shine a light out over on the mountaintop? It's incredible. What a fun, what a fun exploration. I mean, equinox is a great,
Agreed.
great time for fasting, great time for self mastery practices, presence practices.
Cleansing. Yeah.
Hmm.
Things where you let go to understand yourself in a deeper way.
Yeah, love that. Okay, well, what's coming next after that? We're in October now. October 14th is kicking off the next new moon cycle. I feel like something different wants to come through after that deep aesthetic practice. Okay, here we go. Woohoo! The door of possibility. That's what I call this card. This is from the Risha deck. This is the Two of Wands or the Two of Fire. And I love that this card is coming up right now after doing that self mastery practice, because this has to do with the deep unknown and what's the future. We don't know, but we're standing at the door.
We have also paired that with the Shaman of Swords. This would be the King of Swords.
Whoa.
Right. I mean, swords have been playing a pretty big role in this year so far, at least with some of the cards I've been pulling. So this will be a really good time to sharpen and hone the mind. Now, there's no real duality between the mind body, right? The mind and body are one thing. So, but the way we use the mind, capital M, to basically connect to our whole selves and cultivate that awareness of ourselves as an entire being. The Shaman of Swords, it's not here. It's all of it, being aware of all of it and cultivating that observer that's able to look on the outside and understand what the correct course of action is. So this card is going to be a great card for the whole month, because by the end of it, I mean, the reason you pull for a whole month is the card will be continuing to inform you through the symbology around how you can, how do I use all of my senses to start to be to know what the right course of action is. There's going to be some clear courses of action in this time.
Can you bring that card closer to the camera? I just want to see it a little bit more. Wow, what a wild card. Like it's just this, it's incredible, like this, especially after what we just pulled for last month, this self mastery. And then you get this mastery of the mind with the Shaman of the Swords or the King of Swords card. It's like, it really is begging you, like, what are you going to create with that self mastery? How are you going to use your mind now at this door of possibility? Like there's a lot of choice in this month, right? There's choices to be had. And that card with the what's coming out? Are you going to climb the ladder? What's coming out of your throat chakra? Like I'm just very drawn, like what's coming out of your crown and how is that supporting you? I think you have a lot of choice about how you manifest all that. Are you going to manifest a chaos time in your life? Are you going to manifest clarity? You have this door of possibility in that in October.
Nice synthesis, babe.
Thanks. All right. We coming into November, my birth
Woo!
month.
It's
Yeah.
2 more months.
Just 2 more months. All right, here we go. 2 more moons.
Moons.
Yeah, we got November 13th, the next new moon cycle. So we're gonna pull for that. You want to go first this time, babe?
Yeah. So November. Ooh. Celebrate good times. Come on.
Oh, wow.
Have a good time.
Divine
Cele-
union.
Be really simple.
Mm,
Celebrate the good stuff.
mm,
I mean, it's always this time of year people will start to get towards that, like, now it's time to assemble. Now it's time to
mhm,
gather and celebrate with those that we care about.
mm,
Um, Celebration, not hedonism.
mhm,
Enjoying, and it's the Four of Wands.
mhm,
So it's through inspiration.
mhm,
So not necessarily doing, you don't have to do what everyone's always done before. It's about creating a meaningful representation of joy,
mm,
celebrating, honoring, connecting with people in a way that actually lifts you both up.
mm,
Community, friendships, honoring friendships. Good time, opportune for this month. Kind of
mm.
coming back a little bit to earth with this one after those really big energies of the previous months.
Yeah. And then guess who comes in? More swords. This time the queen. The
All right, baby.
Queen of Swords comes in to meet her king from last month, right? So the
Wow.
king has the choice. And I love this interpretation of the Queen of Swords because she is like, I've used my sword already. I just cut that guy's head off. My sword's down. Like, look at the thing that's coming out of her crown. It's like, you have this cherub energy, you have this incredible sacred geometry coming out of the crown. This is the feminine mastery of the mind. She's like, I done it. I get to just rest in my thoughts now and let this thing unfold and to celebrate, right? With Susie's card up there, like she met her partner, the King of Swords,
I
and it's
know.
almost like they're having the dance in the card right now. She's like, let's join forces. We've mastered the mind here.
So things are coming together.
Things are coming together.
Yeah, we're getting a union. We're getting a union of, again, reinforcing the good, like celebrating good friendships, good
Mhm,
partnerships.
mhm.
Not a bad time to work in partnerships.
Yeah. And to celebrate the hard work of the last couple of months, because that we really put in a lot of inner work. Well, for a lot of this year, but especially the last couple of months, we did a
Yeah.
lot of work. So beautiful time to celebrate. Wow, we're coming to the final month of our 2023 Wheel of the Year tarot
Oh
reading. So
gosh.
let's see. Let's see how we're gonna wrap up this finale. Okay, coming through. Wow. Okay, I'll take it. We'll see how this rolls out. Seven of water. Didn't we start with the Seven of Cups?
You did.
We did. This is a really different interpretation of the Seven of Cups because, as you can see, there's this kind of dark spiraling energy around this character at the edge of the cliff. It's almost like, the Fool card, but he's got some kind of dream time energies, if you will, that are not actually in service. But he's giving the offering to the ocean. He's giving the offering back to source, and he's allowing that to and trusting that to clear the way and clear the space.
I also think it's cool because we began with the seven of cups and the six of pentacles. Well, the pentacles have upgraded a little bit to the page.
Oh, wow. Look at
We're back in
that.
that interesting pair, which is an
Wow.
interesting way to complete the cycle. So by the end of the year, we're going to have something more concrete. We're actually going to, even though we've done a lot of sword work, depending on how remember we had that 4 of Swords earlier on where you work on, centering yourself, working with the Magician card, harnessing your energies.
Mhm.
That harnessing actually can create something that is the thing you've been actually working and dreaming of. There is the capacity here. It's not the King of Pentacles where it's actually going to happen. But there's a lot of possibility here. You might get something more information. There's going to be more information of what the new earth is trying to be. There's going to be progress this year for sure.
Yeah. And as you're talking about that and the stabilizing and the manifesting from the magus back there, it's reminding me too that when we do that inner work and we are going to self-mastery, like the Hermit came through, that we can attract then some of those shadow energies that then need to actually, that, as we embody more of our light, as we're in our innocence and grounding all this newness, shadow stuff comes through and it comes up to be worked with and released. And it's like, and this card is asking, can we actually stay with our devotion practices and our ceremony practices and go do the offerings? There's a full moon over here. Be with the source energy of the ocean and do the practice, because this is a lot of energy. Like the influences on this card are Neptune, the moon, Mars, and Pluto. Like, can we have so many different energies at play all at once? It's a lot to kind of wrap up the year, but that Page of Pentacles gives a really sweet promise of
Yeah, exactly.
grounding, and so it adds a lot of sweetness to it. Wow,
We did it.
amazing. And to end with that 7 to wrap it around with the 7 of Cups, like just to understand there's a lot of play with the dreams right now, the dream time and all the unseen at work, and what we're doing this 2023 feels really yummy.
I think knowing what your dreams, connecting to your dreams, is going to be really powerful. And remembering that each of us has their own dream, and all of
Yeah.
us are projecting our own dream onto reality, and we're receiving, things from the outside, but only through the lens of our own dream. So it's getting more in touch what your particular dream is.
Yeah.
What you want, but also what are your perceptions.
Just to wrap, because this is how I wrap my readings. This is how I wrap my readings. I always do a crystal card at the end, just to give a little inspiring energy to carry us through those waves of process. And what do we have coming up? But some blue lace agate, some nice, soft, calm expression, some calming, calm expression energy to take through all the cycles of the year. Bless it up with that soft blue Murael. Murael. Keep it gentle. Stay calm, people. I love it. So just to wrap, if you love this reading and you felt attracted, Suzanne does readings. You want to tell them your website real quick? We'll put it in the links below too.
Yeah, my website is Suzanne Astar, ASTAR.com. And I do private tarot readings and readings about the year. So if you want to go in depth into your own particular flavor of this magic, feel free to contact me there. And what about you, Miss Melanie Kay?
Yes, you can find me at starbodyearth.com. I am running a January special. If you want to do your own personal Wheel of the Year tarot reading, jump on there and catch that. I have a bunch of free time until the tour. I'm doing an Earth activation tour in Egypt in February. So there's a few last minute spots for that. If you're feeling called to Egypt this year and you want to go when the Tolkien is kicking off and all the planets are going to be going direct, we're going to have a blast and really activate a lot in our inner self and our Earth body. So that's all for us.
Amen.
I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.
Everybody. One little thing, if you received anything good from this reading, always good to thank the earth, make an offering. It'll just help it stick, It's just, I received this from a great diviner. Like when you go and you get any information, just go make an offering in gratitude to nature. It always helps stick things into place.
Oh, I love that. And Julia, thanks for staying and watching the whole thing. Love you so much. Thank you, everybody who watched this transmission. We love you, and we'll see you really soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.